Someone very wise told me when I was a freshman in high school something really profound that has shaped my writing ever since. He was the advisor for the literary magazine, and it turned out that this was his last day of life. We didn't know that when we were talking.
Wow.
But these words to me might have been quite possibly the last words he said to anyone, because he went home and he passed away at home and no one else was home. They came home and found him. If I'm recalling the details correctly, it's been a while. I was feeling very disenchantized, is that the right word? Disheartened. My poem had not been accepted in the literary magazine because they said it was too dark and depressing, and it made me sound like I was suicidal or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenager with teen angst. Of course it's going to make me sound that way. I didn't understand that at the time. I was 13, 14 years old. I was, lost in the happenings of my life. I was trying to understand who I was. And so we had this great conversation. And as the advisor, he had the power to override the decision of the committee. So he wrote on my little pink sheet of paper, which is the only time in my life where I've ever had anything pink. But he wrote approved on it, or accepted. I don't remember if it was approved or accepted. And he said, just show this to the editor and your poem is in. And I said,
Wow.
Okay. And then he said to me, I want you to remember this piece of advice for your entire life. When you sit down to write, if you write from your heart, everything will fall into place and it will be beautiful no matter what you do with it. And
wow.
I don't let anyone tell me to put my book into the round hole when I am a square box, or I'm a triangle, or I'm a star, whatever I am. I don't know, but I don't fit in a round hole. That's for sure. And I write from my heart. And that doesn't mean I don't listen to other people's advice. And I have coaches of my own who give me guidance. But in the end, I have to take the risk and be true to who I am and have that represented on the paper. So when I talk about risk, I'm talking about from the very moment you put that first word on the paper, have the courage to say what you want to say. And if you have a niche audience, if you want to write a science fiction story about lesbian aliens who don't have any desire to conquer the world, but they come from a conquering society, and they're all about peace, love, and not war, and it's very niche in that little, I can't think about how to make it even more niche than that, then go for it. The publisher's job is to market it in a way that it becomes a desirable beyond your niche. And that's also your responsibility too. So you've written your niche piece. How do you then take and market it beyond your niche so that the niche can become less nichey?
I almost feel like that brings us back to the beginning when you were talking about kind of like you were saying, well, really, this is a coming of age story. So it's almost like you can have your really niche story, but in its core, maybe it's a coming of age story, or maybe it's a love story or something like that.
Right. And it all comes down to being willing to take the risk to market it a little differently. So have the risk to write what you feel needs to be written, then have the courage to take the risk to market it outside the niche as well as within the niche. And, when you think of best-selling authors, like when you think of a best-selling author that you would love to have a career like them, who comes to your mind first? Don't overthink it. Just by the time I say one, say an author. 1, 2, or by the time I say 3, 3, 2, 1.
Stephen King.
Okay, so do you think Stephen King played it safe?
No.
I mean, think about his stories.
Carrie comes to mind.
Carrie was one of his early works, and that is a story about killing a bunch of teenagers with your mind. I mean, come on. We're
Right.
talking about, an over-religious family, because Carrie's family is hyper-religious to the point that she doesn't even know that a woman gets a monthly cycle. And when it happens, she goes, well, a bit crazy, quite frankly, because she doesn't understand, and she's told that it makes her evil. So then when they do what they do, and the bullying they put on her at the very end, she kills a bunch of people. And she does that, and it has these underscores of sexual tension and all sorts of other things. In the 1970s when it came out, that was all unheard of. How could you even think to do that?